Hello and welcome. I'm Paweł Trzaskowski and you're watching World Talks here on TVP World. Ilіe Bolojan has been named Romania's new Prime Minister. As the head of the centre-right National Liberal Party, he now faces the task of rallying support from other European MPs to form a coalition and secure a vote of confidence next week. And joining me now is Oana Popescu, Director at Global Focus Centre and our frequent guest. Oana, nice to see you again here on TVP World.
Hello, thank you for having me again.
So, to start off, the nomination of Ilіe Bolojan, would you say that this is the beginning of an end of political turmoil in Romania?
It is certainly the end of a period of instability where we didn't have a stable government, a government with full powers, which were very much needed to restore economic stability and investors' trust that the country is moving in the right direction from that standpoint. We need to keep in mind that this government, however, is a very mixed bag. This is still the same political parties that voters have punished in recent elections by giving a massive anti-establishment vote. So this is not going to be an easy feat. I think Prime Minister Ilīe Bolojan is very much aware of the magnitude of the task. I think the extensive negotiations with the president and the political parties have led to what might be a more solid government program than in previous occasions. However, the hard work is only just beginning, and it's only just beginning on two dimensions. One is short-term, deliver that stability, fiscal stability especially, that the European Commission, that investors are looking for, deliver continued economic growth at a time when it's going to be difficult to do this, while at the same time not raising taxes, making sure prices don't continue to rise. And at the same time, there's a long-term goal as well, which is restore people's faith in representative democracy and in the ability of these political parties to genuinely take on their agenda and respond to their interests.
Mm-hmm. So we have two things to focus here right now. One is the person of Ilīe Bolojan himself, the new Prime Minister, and the other is, as you said, the mixed bag of the future coalition. Let's focus on Mr. Bolojan first. Were you surprised by his choice?
No. I mean, he's been on the cards from the very beginning. President Nicu announced him as his first option from the get-go. He served as interim president before Nicu was elected. I think he has quickly achieved a significant level of popularity, again, in a context where it is already difficult for people to trust political leaders. However, he comes from a little bit from the margins, let's say, of politics. He hasn't performed in central national level politics before these months. He was a very skilled administrator in his part of the country. So perhaps that has played to his favor because he's not perceived as being one of the old toxic leaders who have succeeded to power over and over again. He is an experienced politician, and he is and has been at the center of the Liberal Party, but he's also seen as a decently novel figure and somebody who is perhaps more principled, more serious as a politician, and more technical even than many others.
But he is going to be substituted in 2027, probably by the politician from the Social Democrats, am I right?
Indeed, which seems a bit counterintuitive from a political perspective, because it looks like Ilīe Bolojan will have to essentially sacrifice himself as prime minister to deliver all the heavy lifting, do the hard work, fix the economy, fix hopefully people's trust in politics, and then pass on the baton to the party that is perceived as having done the greatest damage to Romanian democracy and to Romanian economy. The Social Democrats, they are seen widely as the party that's been much more interested in corrupt in objectives and personal objectives rather than national interest. And proof to that is the fact that from the largest party in Romania, standing somewhere around 30+%, they have dropped in recent years up until very recently, when we see them at 17%, and AU, the Alliance for the Unity of Romanians, the Radical Party, scored double those percentages. So this is a very tricky situation where de facto the largest party in Romania now is a radical party, where the anti-establishment trend is continuing, and against this backdrop, we are expecting to have a responsible government who, like I said, will then not necessarily be able to reap the political benefits, but will have to pass that on to those who are at this point perceived as the culprits for the current situation. So very difficult times ahead.
So, yeah, he will have to do the heavy lifting, as you mentioned, and the first thing to address would be the country's budget deficit. What options will the future government coalition have to address this issue without triggering a major political backlash?
Well, largely speaking, there are two categories. One is cutting unnecessary expenses. The state apparatus is seen as significantly marked by inefficiencies, by expenditure that goes to the wrong places. Ineffective tax collection capacity, not necessarily overpopulated public administration, quite on the contrary, but overpopulated in parts where that wouldn't be necessary, leaving other sectors of governance insufficiently attended, let's say. So a lot will have to do with cutting unnecessary government expenditure and making it more efficient and increasing tax collection capacity. The other option is increasing taxes, and the reason it took so long to appoint a prime minister, nominate one to form the government, has been disagreement with the president over whether VAT tax should or should not be raised, and this is still something that we are only taking a break from, let's say, until October, when the European Commission has given Romania the next deadline by which to submit the full package of fiscal reforms. And it looks like it's going to be very, very difficult not to raise VAT tax. At this point, I think there's rather widespread agreement that what might have to be protected is the flat tax that Romania has had for years now, which is contributing to a more friendly investor environment. But the VAT tax looks like it might be the first victim in a process which will be very difficult by just cutting unnecessary expenditure without trying to collect more also through tax hikes.
So you mentioned a more efficient government, a government that is going to be composed of four parties, three of which used to form a government coalition before. How stable do you think this coalition will be? And isn't that a move against the vote of many Romanians who predominantly voted right-wing in the previous elections?
True, to a significant extent, and unfortunately, the only thing I can say is that we have no other alternative in Romania at this point. The other option would be the anti-establishment radical parties, and that is something that neither the president nor the majority of pro-European, pro-democratic parties have wanted to see happen. So this is very much a coalition against nature, if you wish, and it's going to be difficult to keep it together. One, perhaps, let's say, the glue that will likely keep this government in place for the foreseen period of 2 years at least, will be the fact that nobody has an interest to go to early elections. And that is precisely because if we go to early elections, all of the parties involved stand to lose. The Social Democrats, it would be a disaster for them because right now they have a negotiation power within the government, within parliament, that doesn't genuinely reflect where they would stand if we were to hold elections again. Same for the Liberals. The Save Romania Union is just reeling from having a party president who ran for president, quite successfully made it to the second round, but then the first round was cancelled and she dropped to 2% when we did the rerun. So all of the parties right now have interim leadership. All of the parties badly need internal reform. All of the parties try to avoid that internal reform, and being in government actually buys them some time. Unfortunately, I would say, because politically, this would be ideal, and politically, unless they reform, unless something quite substantial happens in the coming years, 2028 might see a wave of radical extremism washing over Romanian politics much worse than it has until now. So really, what secures the government in place is rather everybody's awareness that things would be much worse if they were to go to early elections than if they somehow make it work together. But this is not going to be easy because these are not necessarily parties whose interests overlap on a significant number of issues.
Okay, Oana. So one quick question to wrap it up. Next week, we're expecting a vote of confidence for the new government. Will there be surprises?
Probably not. Probably not. This has been agreed, negotiated, and I expect that it's going to pass next week.
Thank you. Thank you, Oana.
Thank you.
Our guest was Oana Popescu, Director at Global Focus Center. You were watching World Talks. Please stay with us for more updates.